tonight, Ottawa pushes back, saying Canada will not accept a bad trade deal from the US.
The doors aren't closed, the doors are open, the conversations are ongoing.
Donald Trump boosts tariffs and uncertainty for some Canadian businesses.
The uncertainties actually kills the business.
Something big is unfolding quietly across the Atlantic, almost invisibly, and yet it could reshape how power moves between continents. For decades, every major shipping lane from North America to Europe passed through the United States. American ports acted as the gatekeepers of transatlantic trade, controlling the flow of goods and influence. But over the past few months, that long-standing map has begun to fade. Ships leaving Montreal now sail directly to
Canada must be looking elsewhere to expand our trade, to build our economy, and to protect our sovereignty. Canada is ready to take a leadership role in building a coalition of like-minded countries who share our values. We believe in international cooperation. We believe in the free and open exchange of goods, services, and ideas. And if the United States no longer wants to lead, Canada will.
Rotterdam,
there was no announcement.
Bypassing U.S. ports like New York and Norfolk that wants to find a rhythm of global commerce. There was no grand announcement, no political showdown. Instead, 5 major Canadian ports, including Montreal and Quebec, quietly signed agreements with their counterparts in Rotterdam, Antwerp, and the broader North Sea network. Together, they have created a direct shipping corridor that no longer relies on U.S. intermediaries. On paper, it's a logistical shift. In practice, it's a subtle realignment of global.
And as the most European of the non-European countries, Canada looks first to the European Union to build a better world. And that's what today is about. It's about building on our triple alignment of values, of interests, and of trust built over the years. And so today, this is a new era of cooperation.
Influence, one that's rerouting over 200 million tons of goods each year straight into the heart of Europe, deep inside NATO's economic core. Ottawa calls it a system redesign, not a declaration of defiance. But the consequences speak louder than the phrasing. With major investments flowing into Montreal's port expansion and the new Contra terminal, Prime Minister Mark Carney's government is positioning Canada not as a middleman, but as a connector between North America and Europe. The United States, once the necessary intermediary, is now finding itself on the sidelines of a network it used to control. The question this raises is quietly profound. If trade routes define influence, what happens when those routes no longer pass through Washington?
This will directly help transform our country into an energy superpower. This project will double LNG Canada's production capacity and make it the second largest liquefied natural gas facility of its kind in the world. It will diversify our trading partners, help meet global demand for secure, low-carbon energy, and support tens of thousands of new high-paying careers.
This shift on the sea isn't happening in isolation. It's part of something far bigger, an interconnected strategy that reaches deep into the energy systems of the future. While much of the world was still scrambling to replace Russian gas after the Ukraine crisis, Canada and the Netherlands began constructing what analysts now call the invisible pipeline across the Atlantic. In May 2025, Amsterdam and Newfoundland officially launched the Green Hydrogen Corridor, a decentralized energy route built not on pipelines or political control, but on shared standards, ports, and trust. Canada committed roughly $300 million to the project, matched by Germany through the H2 Global Initiative, creating a joint fund of about $600 million Canadian to finance early-stage developments. The corridor's foundation lies in the 2022 Canada-Germany Hydrogen Alliance, which the European Union later recognized as fully compliant with its clean hydrogen standard. This validation positioned Canada at the heart of Europe's energy transition. On the ground, this shift is tangible. Massive projects like Everwind Fuels, a $4.5 billion wind-to-hydrogen development in Nova Scotia, and World Energy GH2, a 4-gigawatt hydrogen complex in Newfoundland, are already preparing to export green ammonia to Germany and the Netherlands by 2026. Together, these projects are turning the Atlantic into a clean energy artery, not just a trade route. With more than 80 low-carbon hydrogen projects currently under development, valued at roughly $100 billion US. Canada is no longer simply exporting commodities, it's exporting reliability, sustainability, and a new model for energy independence. The green hydrogen corridor marks the start of a new energy era. What's emerging behind it is an even broader design, a transatlantic system where ports, minerals, and technology converge into self-reliant networks. Beneath these maritime partnerships lies Ottawa's deeper strategy to build supply chains that can operate independently and withstand geopolitical turbulence. In early 2026, a Canadian delegation will travel to the Netherlands to expand joint research in critical minerals like nickel, cobalt, and graphite, resources essential for both clean energy and defense. This initiative builds on the Canada-Germany Strategic Minerals Declaration, which moves beyond simple extraction to include refining and recycling within Canada's borders. The goal is clear. Canada doesn't want to remain just a supplier of raw materials. It wants to own a share of the transformation process itself. This marks a shift in national posture from dependency to design, from resource exporter to value creator. Meanwhile, Canada's agricultural sector is quietly integrating Dutch innovations such as precision irrigation and vertical farming. These technologies are helping Canadian farmers adapt to a changing climate, boost domestic resilience, and align with EU sustainability standards. The same pattern extends across industries. The adoption of shared European norms is deepening trust and strengthening integration between Canada and the EU. Even the new trade corridors reflect this dual purpose. Many of Canada's Atlantic routes are being developed as dual-use infrastructures, serving both commercial and NATO logistical needs. The result is a distributed system of influence that observers now call the autonomous Atlantic. It's a network where no capital, not even Washington, can fully dictate the flow of goods, energy, or data. From Europe's perspective, Canada is becoming more than a partner. It's emerging as a trusted alternative in a world where reliability has become the rarest commodity. For Berlin and Brussels, Ottawa offers something Moscow never could: vast natural resources combined with democratic dependability. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz captured this contrast succinctly when he said, "Canada has the resources of Russia, but as a reliable democracy." That reliability has made Canada central to Europe's long-term energy planning. Germany alone is projected to need around 100 terawatt-hours of hydrogen by 2030, with roughly 70% expected to come from imports, much of it sourced from Canada and Norway. Meanwhile, the Netherlands is transforming its ports, Rotterdam, Amsterdam, and Antwerp, into Europe's principal hydrogen gateways, a process accelerated by close collaboration with Canadian terminals. Together, these developments are doing more than moving goods. They're redrawing the map of transatlantic power. Ottawa's approach isn't loud or confrontational. It's steady, deliberate, and rooted in the quiet strength of connection. Through logistics instead of leverage and cooperation instead of competition, Canada is quietly building a new center of gravity across the Atlantic, one defined not by dominance, but by trust. The Netherlands is transforming its major ports, Rotterdam, Amsterdam, and Antwerp, into Europe's leading hydrogen gateways, a shift accelerated through direct cooperation with Canadian terminals. New memorandums of understanding between ports such as Belgium and Rotterdam, Halifax and Hamburg, and Newfoundland and Rotterdam have built a transatlantic logistics network designed for both commercial trade and clean energy transport. This system links Europe's industrial core to Canada's resource base, not through dependence, but through shared standards and mutual trust. As Ottawa often puts it, Canada's goal is no longer just to sell energy, it's to export stability, a resource that in today's fractured world may be more valuable than any commodity. What makes Canada's strategy remarkable is its restraint. Ottawa hasn't challenged Washington with rhetoric or confrontation. Instead, it's been redesigning the system itself, quietly, methodically, and without fanfare. Every container that now bypasses New York or Norfolk represents more than logistics. It's a quiet vote for economic independence. One Canadian trade official summarized it simply: "We're not pivoting. We're just designing differently." That line captures the essence of Ottawa's long-term thinking. Focus on leverage, not loudness. By investing in clean energy, critical minerals, and advanced technology, Canada is expanding its reach without provoking resistance within NATO or disrupting alliances. The results are beginning to show. Canada is now viewed as a strategic connector, a country whose supply chains serve both civilian markets and military logistics while remaining above the politics of dominance. This is influence without aggression, authority earned through consistency, through design rather than declaration. Canada is emerging as a quiet powerhouse of the Atlantic, shaping outcomes not through pressure, but through presence. Its growing influence is being built not through military power or defense treaties, but through infrastructure, data, and shared standards. Instead of projecting might across the oceans, Ottawa is reshaping the balance through ports, energy corridors, and digital frameworks. Together, these elements form what analysts now call the Atlantic Corridor, a distributed web of influence where economic connectivity replaces traditional hierarchy. While Washington has doubled down on tariffs and trade wars, Ottawa has chosen a slower, steadier path, building systems that endure. Through sustained investment in hydrogen, critical minerals, and logistics infrastructure, Canada has crafted a framework that outlasts political cycles. Europe now depends increasingly on this structure, not only for energy, but also for clean technology standards and regulatory reliability. In doing so, Ottawa has turned trade into a form of diplomacy. This evolution is quietly redefining what power means. Trade and technology have become tools of persuasion rather than coercion. The deeper Europe integrates with Canadian supply chains, the less it relies